Hooty hoo, all my stock market gamblers. Welcome today. It's Monday. Stock market's back open. And guess what? We're all up. We're up. The Dow's up. The Nasdaq's up. The S&P's up. They only go higher. The stock market only goes higher. Haven't hit a new record high yet today, but there's still plenty of time left for that. What's happened over the weekend? Well, Biden got his $1.2 trillion infrastructure pass, and that's, of course, sending the markets higher, which, well, you pump $1.2 trillion into the market, they should go higher. But we've had this big run up. Some people call it the crack up boom. Some people call it the blow off top. But we've been up like 18 of the last 20 days. Will we ever see a pullback again? I'm not sure we will, but I'm sitting on a lot of cash waiting for it. I'm in good company. Warren Buffett, I think he's sitting on $149 billion waiting for a correction, waiting for a pullback, waiting for somewhere to put that money to work. Will it happen? Time will tell. We'll see. I'm expecting it. Maybe it happens. Maybe it doesn't. What I want to talk today about, though, is, well, the two different viewpoints on the economy. Now, some people, I talk to a lot of people and a lot of my friends, they think the economy is doing great. Now, mainstream media, they will tell you that the economy is recovering. It's doing great. Yes, we got a little bit of inflation, but they'll also tell you, Janet Yellen will tell you, nothing to worry. Inflation's under control. It's just a supply chain issue. Maybe true, maybe not true. But they have this different perspective than I do. And some of the comments talk about when I say the economy's holding on by a thread. They say, Mike, what are you talking about? Economy's strong. It's not even close to being bad. It's actually booming, a booming economy. Well, you see, there's two different ways of reporting. There's the way of reporting that the government tells us, and then there's a way of reporting. I like to look at shadow stats. Have you ever go on there and look at shadow stats? Let's take, for example, the unemployment rate. Now, the unemployment rate, our government tells us it's at 4.6%. 4.6%. Well, that's really good, right? Well, you go on shadow stats and they'll tell you the real rate of unemployment is about 25%. And they'll tell you that the workforce is almost at a record low. This is Great Depression stuff. These are numbers that were in the Great Depression. Now, the other thing, look at the inflation rate. Now, our government, they're admitting right around 5%. They say, yeah, inflation's up and it's under control. It's transitory. It's just a supply chain issue. It's going to work itself out. You go on shadow stats. What do you see? You see it's about a 15% rate. Now, who's telling you the real one? Now, why would our government lie to us? Why would shadow stats lie to us? Well, maybe it's somewhere in between the two, but I just have a different viewpoint than some of my friends, than some of you that write comments where the economy's doing great. I don't see it that way. You see, the reason I don't see it that way is, well, we got the Federal Reserve, and now they're keeping interest rates at a crisis level, like it's an emergency. Why are interest rates at 0%? Why? If the economy's doing so well, why can't we raise interest rates? And not only are interest rates at 0%, but we continue to print this money. They continue to buy $80 billion worth of bonds each month and $40 billion worth of mortgages. Now, they say they're going to taper it down to $75 billion and $35 billion. Well, if the economy's doing so great, why don't we just stop printing that money out of thin air and stop buying the bonds and stop buying the mortgages, and let's see where the prices adjust to. You see, there's no price discovery in the markets right now. Nobody knows what a house should sell for. Nobody even knows what a stock should sell for. You see, companies, they can borrow all the money they want from the Fed at 0%, and they can buy their own stocks to make the stock market go higher. This is very common right now. But you see, there's these two different viewpoints. Now, there's nothing wrong with your viewpoint if you believe the government, if you believe mainstream media. That's where the conversation should start. You know, are they telling you the truth? And maybe I've got this wrong. Now, I wish I didn't study all this stuff so hard, but, you know, it's my passion. It's what I like to do. But I'll tell you, sometimes it does keep me awake at night. Sometimes I can't sleep because I'm thinking, wow, things could really get bad from here. Now you talk about this infrastructure bill that just got passed, $1.2 trillion, right? Now, if you go back to the time of the Great Depression, now Franklin Delano Roosevelt, he instigated what was called the New Deal. The New Deal, it was an infrastructure plan, kind of like the one that we just got passed. It was to create jobs for the people. They were going to build infrastructure. Now, did it work? It did not work. It failed. Now, why did it fail? Well, because, you see, it was the growth of the government. The growth of the government. When the government has the money, well, they don't have the money. If the government had the money, it would be fine. But the government doesn't have the money, so they have to print money, and it makes the government more powerful the more money they print. This is called deficit spending, and that's what we're doing for this infrastructure bill. But we're not going to stop with this $1.2 trillion bill. No. We got another $1.75 trillion spending bill. Well, I don't even know what it's called. It's like Build America Back. I don't know. It's got some fancy name. They're trying to market it to Congress, trying to market it to the people. But 1.2 trillion, 1.75 trillion, I can add. That's like $3 trillion. Look, they tried this stuff in the Great Depression. It didn't work. We don't learn from that. You see, now the government is starting to become responsible for about 50% of the GDP with government spending to keep the GDP up. They don't want that GDP to fall, so they send the money to the people. They send the money to the businesses. They pass an infrastructure bill. They pass a spending bill. They get the money out. But the GDP is 50% dependent upon the government. Now, what does this do? Well, it doesn't do anything good because the private sector somehow has to pay the government back that 50% that it stimulates the GDP with. It prolongs. Sure, we can kick the can down the road, but for how long? Now, I feel that something bad's going to happen. Now, the Federal Reserve, they got all this talk. I call it, well, the happy hype. That's hard to say. The happy hype. They come out and they hype things up. They hype up the how well the economy's doing. They hype up how low the unemployment rate is. They hype up that they have all these tools to fix the inflation problem with. This is the happy hype. And I understand. Look, what would happen to the markets if the government came out and said, "Hey, dudes, guess what? We're running a 25% unemployment rate. Our workforce is at an all-time low. Hey, we got inflation taken off. Best we can tell, it's around 15%. Might be 20% next month. We're not really sure." What would the markets do? Well, they would crash. So I understand how you have to send out, your head guy, Jerome Powell, and he's got to come out with what's called the happy hype. And he's got to keep the markets pumped up. It's his job, right? But when you got the government spending 50% of the GDP, something is wrong. There is a problem, right? Now, we got to get back to where the free market can take over, where the market forces that has some price discovery so we can start building back real businesses that make money, and businesses that can grow our way out of this depression that I think we're kind of headed already in a depression. I mean, 25% of the workforce is not working. That's terrible. I think we're in this depression. I think we have to dig our way out. And the government wants to dig our way out by spending more money, by creating more debt. I'm pretty sure that's how we got to where we're at. You see, the Federal Reserve, they kind of painted themselves into a corner. They kind of painted themselves into a corner. Look, either interest rates have to be raised, and so interest rates are going up. Our inflation's going up. One or the other. You can't have it both ways. And they got themselves painted into this little corner. You see, they can't raise interest rates because then the U.S. government would default. Well, they keep printing money, but eventually it blows up. The Federal Reserve has painted itself into a corner that they can't get out of. There's no way out of this at this point. At some point, we're going to feel the pain, and it's going to be a lot of pain, I'm afraid. And this is what keeps me up at night a lot of times. Not a lot of people, they don't want to hear about this. This sounds bad. It sounds scary. And it is bad. And it is scary. And they want to think that the mainstream media is telling them the truth. They want to think that the unemployment rate is running at 4.6%. They want to think that, inflation is under 5% and that the Federal Reserve can come in and reduce that inflation anytime they want. They want to think that all these problems are under control. They don't want to hear about the government responsible for 50% of the GDP. Heck no, they don't want to hear that stuff. And when I tell them, they get really upset. And some people, they write comments to me about this. Well, I mean, we're here. That's why I have you guys. So I can tell you my opinion and what I see going on out there. Now, if I wanted to sugarcoat this to you, I don't think you'd want to watch the channel. And I don't think that you should watch it if I don't give you the truth. But the truth is scary. And we're just getting started. We're just getting started. We'll see what happens. I hope I didn't scare anyone too much. If you like this stuff, give me the thumbs up. You really like it, punch that subscribe button. Share it with a friend. Why not? I'm Tall Mike. Get out there. Have a great Monday, everybody, and we'll talk more later in the week. Bye-bye now.